It's week 43 of the Crafted Concept, and this week I want to talk about the fact that connection needs to precede correction. There's a great power in shared experience and learning when it comes to performance, where authenticity from the instructor is the foundation of learning for your pupils, for your athletes, for those in your corporate environment. Every single meaningful act that we have has a sense of safety, a growth of safety in the environment that mean that learners feel safe to be able to stretch their thinking, make mistakes, fail well, and receive corrective feedback. But without that willingness to receive, then there's no way that learning can occur. In every classroom, on every sports pitch, in every coaching session, in every boardroom, in every team, where there's a leader, where there's a power relation, where there's an instructor, someone who can provide information for learning, then the relationship between that instructor and that learner is the invisible tie that determines how much that learner is going to take in, how much they're willing to receive information from that person. So connection is purposeful, connection is deliberate, it's cultural. By setting the condition in which connection can occur, where we truly want to learn more about our learners, learn more than just the transactional nature of whether they're going to get their grade, whether they're going to do their job on the pitch, whether they're going to perform in their role. If we can understand them as a person, then they can exist safe in the knowledge that they are psychologically safe to be who they are. The authenticity that comes from you beats out and emanates to the group around you. When we present ourselves as authentic, we show up with integrity and with honesty and with intention, and we're consistent in our tone, in our behaviors, in our manner, in our rules, in our regulations that we set, the expectation of those around us, then we create the environment where challenge becomes an act of care rather than confrontational. If we view connection through an affective perspective, then trust isn't just about words, it's felt. Trust and safety is felt. My willingness to know you holistically, to understand what makes you tick, to understand and work with the personality that you possess, those kind of traits that you bring to the learning environment, to the sports field, to the classroom, to the corporate world that you're in. My willingness to accept you for who you are and motivate you at your level is highly intrinsically motivating. That learner wants to learn from you. They want to work for you. This reminds us of polyvagal theory. Dr. Stephen Porges' theory on polyvagal reminds us that humans detect safety constantly. We're on the alert. Our alarms are ringing all the time to determine whether or not we feel safe. We're reading cues through facial expression, through vocal tone, physical presence, projection of self, connection, understanding, willingness to get to know those within the group. That's how connection can be tangible. When learners perceive these cues of safety, their nervous system shifts from one of defense, one of cortisol, one of what's happening, one of sympathetic nervous system, fight, flight, freeze, one of adrenaline, to actually relax and open up the willingness to learn. The prefrontal cortex comes online. Instead of sympathetic, we're parasympathetic. And therefore, we're talking serotonin to open our regulation of ourself and support learning. We're talking oxytocin, connection, belonging to the group, to those around us, to the purpose, to the values of the organization, of the classroom, of your sports team. The goal-directed dopaminergic pathways that suggest there's something to achieve here and I'm willing to work for it. But I'm willing to work for it in the long term. I'm not talking short-term dopamine here. I'm talking long-term intrinsic motivation. That, to me, sounds like a high-performing environment. That's the kind of environment we want to create. It's certainly one I'd like to lead. Connection then is built not through authoritarian practice, or certainly not through authority at the outset, but instead through a shared sense of humanity, through connection and a sense of belonging at a human level between the instructor and between those in our practice, in our classroom, in our boardroom, in our corporate setting. By revealing a genuine sense of curiosity about the human beings around us, sharing humor, observing some vulnerability, then instead the instructor is narrowing that power relation, flattening out the structure, and showing their learners actually that imperfection is not a weakness and that mistakes are not weakness, mistakes are growth and learning. There are a few different practices that we might consider here. The first is a sense of shared connection through struggle. Tell a story about a time that you can resonate that the struggle that those out on the sports field are having to be able to deal with the opposition's press. The time you've found that difficult, the anecdote that you can offer that allows connection through that shared sense of struggle, how you overcame it or how you considered overcoming it. What were your thought processes? How can you think aloud and share your expert knowledge through the process of solving the problem? This humanizes your sense of expertise. It creates a shared sense of direction and a growth mindset that says, I'm with you, I've been there, and I'm here to help. Secondly, the mirroring effect, where you visibly invest emotionally in your classroom, in your learning session. You lean in to celebrate the small wins and share the frustration constructively. That's me in my classroom when we're going through a mark scheme of I'm a sports science teacher, so those that can resonate and understand anything GCSE paper 2, anything A-level paper 3, those more subjective mark schemes where there's just frustration in the room as to why that isn't a mark. Well, rather than being a representative of the exam board, I'm standing over here and I'm with you guys. I am mirroring with you. We have an invested sense of I'm on your team. We've got to beat them. Let's go. And that's the same for a coach. You create that sense of almost conflict, if you like, that shows them that you are with them. You're rallying behind them for a common goal and a common purpose. Thirdly, we might consider inclusive reflection. Thirdly, we might consider inclusive reflection. So asking learners not only what they've learned, but how they felt while they were learning it. So that sense of emotional salience that's creating additional encoded memory around that learning process. So not only have I learned material, but I'm actually encoding how I felt during that learning. The shared sense of reflection then can transform the instruction into relationship. That emotional salience supports self-awareness, metacognition, because the emotional state can be drawn down from the long-term memory and connected to the actual learning. Do not underestimate the power of rhythm, of rituals, of predictability, stability within your learning environment. If you always greet participants in the same way, if you always deal with certain discrepancies within the group in the same way, and you are consistent every session, every lesson, every time someone enters the office, then that sense of predictability builds trust and psychological safety. If your response is known and is stable, even if at times that response is potentially autocratic or potentially shorter than it would be normally, at least it's consistent. Connection isn't necessarily about always wanting people to like you, but it means that you are known, and to be known is to be predictable and safe for everyone within the environment. A sense of authenticity as an instructor can be misunderstood as simply causal. The truth is it isn't. It's crafted. It's really deliberate, cultivated, because the congruence between what we believe and what we communicate verbally, behaviorally, emotionally, creates that predictable environment, that authenticity. And so rather than performing a sense of care, a sense of belief and values within the team, you embody it. It's captured, it's an essence culturally within your classroom, your sports team, your business environment, your office. So rather than just listening to understand or to firefight or to be the person at the top of the tree because you're the instructor and you're going to give all the answers, rather than being that person, you want to ask questions, to explore, to expose, to support and to empower. Because that empowerment breeds autonomy. Autonomy is recognition of competence. Recognition of competence is growth, is safety, is powerful for the learner. They feel respected, they feel seen. And by doing so, we're allowing people to flourish. And in essence, is that not what being an instructor, being a teacher, being a coach, being a leader is all about? Just watch, just feel that environment shift when authenticity meets connection. Because then rather than learners just seeking to be perfect, seeking to get the right answer, to play the right pass, rather than all of those things, instead those participants seek the process, seek the performance of the cultural values, the cultural and social things that you have created as capital, creating connection between people, rather than just what the outcome is. Who cares if you work, if you play, if you teach an environment where the grade on the paper, the score at the end is all that matters? Because let me tell you, as history has proven so many times, that can only last so long. Show me a team that wants to know about how they're going to get to that point. All the small wins, all the ways they can be connected, the way they can converge their environment with their goal direction, all the way to the end point, and then, hey, who cares? Like Bill Walsh said, the score can take care of itself. That's a team I want to work for. That's a team I want to lead. A quick fire, easy to apply set of options to immediately create authenticity the next time you're in front of your playing group, the next time you're delivering a lesson, and the next time that you're leading in your business environment. One, co-regulate with the other human beings around you like we would tribally, and we're instinctively designed to do so. The way that our hormonal states support the release of serotonin, the release of oxytocin, that connection between people. Ask people how they are. Know people better than any other team, because in doing so, you can connect with them at their level. Next, learn names, use eye contact, use humor, because those small human touches show those around that you are authentic, you are the same as them. You're not some alien at the top of the power relation who delivers the session, who makes the choice on who plays on the Saturday, or the person who marks and grades the paper. You are like them, and you want to show that you are. Thirdly, reflect publicly. Verbalize your thinking. We've spoken about think alouds so many times at the Crafted Concept, because in doing so, you are demonstrating outwardly your ability to refine an explanation, to show that you too are exploring growth, and to inspire others around you to think, to focus on process, to not be afraid of the fact that by being open with your thought processes, you may be vulnerable, you may be wrong, but at least we're all at a level and supporting that growth. And finally, of course, environments need to be challenging. I'm not standing here this week and saying we all need to skip around, hold hands, be best friends. We're talking about performance at elite levels, potentially. Sports clubs I work with, we are talking about performance. I might stand here and say process over outcome, but ultimately, if outcome goes badly enough times, people lose their jobs at that level. So yes, the environment needs to be challenging, but it can be with care. We can frame corrective feedback, of course, around the value of performance. That isn't good enough, but I'm going to tell you why and how to be better. And I'm going to do it with an arm around you, because we all need to go in the same direction. Let's co-create goals. Let's co-create the routines that we believe in. You will be fined if you're late. At least when we're aiming for challenge in an environment, if we do so from a place of care and connection, then those things are going to be supported and believed in.